The other thing about student loans that I feel like nobody's talking about is that it is not good for all of your like under 40 workers to not be able to buy a house, save for their retirement, invest in their children's future, have kids, and now they're trying to pay us $5,000. Like, it is not good for us to be spending the equivalent of our rent on student loan payments. Like, that's bad for the economy. We can't buy stuff. We can't buy houses. We can't contribute in any way to a booming economy. We can't have kids. Like, that's not good for the future of the country. They think that the future of the country and the future of the labor force is in peril because women like don't want to take on the work of having to like breastfeed or something. What? We can't afford it. We can't afford it. And that's exactly why you don't saddle your entire working youth, like multiple generations of the under 50 youth of the country, with student loans that they can't discharge and they can never get out from under. Their entire paycheck is going to survival and student loans. That's bad for the economy. That's not good. How is nobody talking about this?
What's something really important that you should have been taught in school but you weren't?
The fact that higher education in America is very predatory. All right, let me explain. I am a fourth year medical student in the United States. I have been studying for a long time, and I'm going to be graduating this year and becoming a doctor. And because I decided to get higher education, I have a lot of debt. Specifically, I have over $240,000 in student loan debt. That's not even including this year's student loan that I just signed for. So I'm going to graduate with over $300,000 in debt. And once I graduate, I'm not going to make that doctor money because I have to get further training called my residency, where I'm going to be getting paid less than minimum wage. I'm not going to be able to afford payments on my student loan during that time, and my student loan of over $300,000 is going to be gaining interest on top of everything. And the sad thing is, higher education organizations have no incentive to cut these costs for their students, especially those private institutes. As a student, you'll make them a lot of money.
Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for a point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far. Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate my parents paid for a really good chunk of that, over $100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay, 165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000. Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full disclosure, I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like, at the time, it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so, like, overwhelming. But in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance a student loan. You just are. So 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed a payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe like $30-some thousand on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college. And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college. I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children. and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like, you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something isn't working.
The USA is the only country that will punish you for trying to go and be educated and get a better career. No progressive country, no first world country other than America punishes the people by not only making schooling and education so inaccessible and so expensive, but allowing banks and private loans to basically put you in a position where you're paying off insane interest rates for the rest of your life. This is because the American system prefers people that don't want to get an education and are left with no choice but to take the worst jobs and to join the military. You have to put yourself in a situation that is so dangerous, aka being in debt, getting a low credit score, whatever else, in order to supposedly advance yourself. And now we're at a point where that doesn't even matter anymore because getting a degree nowadays means nothing. Education is not valued. Moving forward, science progression is not valued. The government doesn't fund it. And then they're mad at places like China who've spent the past 20 years funding research, funding progression, funding people to actually go through and create cures and progress and technology or anything else like that. And all these countries, by the way, have free and accessible education.
Sorry, but I don't think paying back your debts is morally superior. I literally don't care that you grinded for over a decade and stretched yourself so thin and worked 2 jobs and missed out on kids' birthdays and missed out on funerals and missed out on your life, what is dwindling time in your life of mobility and good health, in order to pay back, of all people, the federal government. You will never catch me working that hard for the federal government, ever. Ever, ever, ever. There's so many people in my comments, wait, I'm confused. I thought we were paying our student loans back. It's a loan, not a gift. Yeah, I literally don't care. Congratulations. You did? I'm not. And many people can't. And also the people that have been paying them back and are in good standing and trying to be a good citizen, quote unquote, because that's how we're measured, is how well we can pay back our debts when our own government is not even paying back our debts, and our own president owes the state of New York so much money that he like literally can't even go there, and the fact that he owes other states so much money that he literally couldn't hold rallies, and that's why he had to use really obscure, weird third-party vendors in order to hold rallies in states. He's gone bankrupt 6 times, so yeah, your neighbor who's got 3 children and weighed down by student loans, who has to file for bankruptcy in order to continue to pay her student loans, is the one that's morally inferior. Same government that sends $8.8 billion at the drop of a hat across seas to support an extinction of an entire people. Same government who manipulates and uses our stock market to their own advantage and insider trades every day. Congratulations. Like, you literally are living and dying to pay back the federal government, and it's never going to be me. The bootlicking is insane. It's a really, really weird hill to die on when you can't even afford eggs. That goes for all debts. That goes for houses. That goes for cars. We're weighed down by cars and car loans with high interest rates because we don't have public transport that's affordable and or accessible. Weighed down by mortgages. Let's not even talk about that. None of us are ever going to own homes ever again. Allowing predatory practices like LLCs buying out houses, doing absolutely nothing about it, if anything, perpetuating the behavior. The federal government does not care about you. They're making billions of dollars off of your back. These debts are not ours. Paying back our student loans will not fix our debt deficit. Just run the numbers. The fact that they are bleeding out money in places like the DOD. It is not on me to bail out the government. It is not on the American people. They have just propagandized it that way. Until we see that, until we see our government as inherently evil and that they are all working towards the same goal, we will never have class solidarity, and we will never, ever get ourselves out of this situation. We need some Eric Mays energy up in this.
I'm not sure how relatable this is going to be for my viewer demographic, but I need to talk about the debt that I'm swimming and drowning in, and the anxiety that I have every day. Horrible anxiety because of it. Now, me personally, I am almost, I'd say about $200,000 in debt total, with all my student loans and credit card debt and just other debt. So, like, and I know I chose to go to NYU. I don't regret it at all. I loved living in New York City. I loved NYU, and we all knew I was crying about it like 2 years ago when I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in debt after I graduate. But now that we have to like pay it back, I'm extremely alarmed and really scared and terrified. And like, obviously living in New York is really, really expensive. So I have a lot of credit cards that I'm pretty much maxed out on. So don't really have any credit that I can use, and my credit score sucks because of that and because of my loans. So that's really cool. Also, I just took literally like the first job I was offered after I graduated because I didn't have a job, and debt, credit cards, medical bills, and they're paying me literally the bare minimum. But I wanted to move back to New York City as soon as possible because I wanted to, like, what 24-year-old doesn't want to go back to living on their own? Like, I don't want to live with my parents, no offense. So I'm going to do that because I love New York City. So I know what you're thinking. Wow, you're really crazy because you're in that much debt and you're going to go move to the most expensive city in the world. Yes, I am. With that being said, more than half of my monthly income will be going towards my rent. So I have to get a second job to work in order to live in New York City. And still with that second job, I'm going to be struggling to pay my bills. And then how am I going to have fun? Like, what? Like, going out to dinner one night cost me like $100. And don't even get me started on the medical bills because I keep getting these notices that I have to pay like $20 for an appointment I went to like 2 years ago. And then they're like, we're going to send you to collections. So that is fun. I also have a dentist appointment next week, and they're going to literally be like, you have 8 cavities. So looking forward to that bill as well. But yeah, like, I really just want to cry and scream and throw up all day, every day. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. So might as well live it up in New York City and go into more debt.
Yesterday, the federal government started collecting on past due loans, student loans. Let's talk about it. Guys, we are so screwed. Like, we are so screwed. And I don't mean we as people who owe that money, although, like, we're screwed. I'm talking about everyone. Like, the economy is screwed. This isn't my typical content, but listen, I talk about Latinos in the U.S. because I have a PhD in Latino studies. I know you're going to say, why did you have a PhD in that? What a waste of money. Everything that you own is a waste of money. So argue with your mama. I'm making this series because it's important for us to understand how this is going to impact all of us. According to a report from TransUnion, they estimate that 20.5% of student loan borrowers are in serious default, which is defined as being 90 days or more delinquent on a student loan payment. And as defaults on these loans rise, Bloomberg Economic estimates that consumer spending will reduce by $63 billion. $63 billion. Do you understand the impact that this is going to have on our economy? I've already started to notice it. I have a lot of friends who own businesses, and they're saying that between January and now has been the slowest that their business has ever been. People are skipping their last appointment. People are not, hiring these coaches or trainers. People are skipping out on large purchases like homes and cars. And when consumer spending is down, doesn't look good for the economy. My favorite student loan debt trope is all the boomers and all of the bootlickers who say, they took out the loans, they should pay them back. No shit, Sherlock. Obviously, if you took a loan out, you should pay it. If you took a loan out, you should try and understand the terms of repayment of that loan. Most of us were 18, 19 years old when we took out these loans. To understand that federal student loans have daily compounding interest, and that snowballs into a shit ton of money. I graduated in 2017 with $110,000 of student loan debt, and my loan was only active from 2017 to 2020 when the COVID freeze happened. And 2017 is when I took out the majority of that student loan balance, though I had a couple of loans prior to that, some subsidized, some unsubsidized. So believe me when I tell you that in those 3 years, with the addition of the other few, my loans accrued $10,000 in student loan debt interest. $10,000 of interest in only 3 years, and I never missed a payment. I always made my minimum payment. Now I overpay because I want to relieve my family of the student loan curse. And I'm fortunate enough that I've paid down my interest, and I pay it down every month and hit some principal. And I can tell you, my balance is just south of $50,000 now, and my student loans accrue about $250 in interest each month. I made a payment 15 days ago, and it's accumulated $162 of interest. This is just ridiculous. I mean, this is economic violence. And for a lot of us, people of color who went to school to get educated, to contribute to society with our knowledge, with our skill set, and with our communication strategies, it's unfortunate that we are up against this repayment violence. I'm going to be sharing a couple more details about my student loan story and what I'm doing to pay down my student loan debt this week. So follow me if you're interested. And if you want to cry like, oh, just pay them. I am, bitch. I'm paying them back. So go argue with your mama.